Hey everybody, what's up and welcome to another Sims 4 house building video. In this video, I am building Nick's house from the Netflix original series Heartstopper. And this is the first of two videos that I'm putting out in kind of celebration or to mark the release of season 3 of Heartstopper on Netflix, which is coming out this week. And I just really wanted to build these houses. I had full intention of building these way back when season 2 came out, like last year, if not the year before. I'm not really sure when they came out, but I ended up just posting builds of Nick and Charlie's bedrooms, and this is me building the full houses. I had a lot of fun with these. I really hope you guys enjoy these ones. Like I said, this is the first of two videos. This is Nick's house, and for a bit of context, I should probably give some context on the show. Heartstopper is basically a teen comedy drama. Comedy is probably the wrong word, and so is drama. I don't really know what to call it. It's a love story for teenagers that I, as a 25-year-old man, like watching. I don't know. It's very cute. It's based on a comic book, and it's just great. If you haven't seen it, I definitely recommend checking it out. It's a real celebration of queer love, queer identity, and it's just a lot of fun. They have a lot of really, really excellent representation, especially for young people. When I was growing up, I didn't have any show like Heartstopper on TV, so it's incredibly, incredibly cool that this is a show that is so accessible for so many young people. And at the center of the story is the love story of Nick and Charlie, and this is the house that Nick lives in. And I've also built Charlie's house, which will be coming out in the next few days, but this is Nick's house. This is where he lives with his mom and older brother, and it's just a very quintessentially British house. Like, it's a very standard house in my eyes. I think it's kind of what a lot of British people live in. I've built a lot of British inspired houses recently, I'm just realizing. Between these two houses and then my last video was inspired by a London townhouse, I've just kind of accidentally built a lot of British houses. Kind of a happy little accident. I've really been enjoying it. And I also have a Halloween themed video coming up that's also based on a London house, well, Enfield house. But anyway, back to this video. Ignore me, I go on tangents a lot. If this is your first video of mine, I do that a lot. But this is Nick's house. Nick lives here with his mom and older brother, and it's just very cute. I managed to get a lot of screenshots of the inside of the house, particularly the kitchen, the living room, and the dining room. A lot of the show takes place in that, especially in season 2, and Nick's bedroom, I think I got pretty accurate to the show, but the rest of it is completely made up. I just made up what I thought his mom's bedroom would look like, what his older brother's bedroom would look like, and I just went from there. I really, really enjoyed this. Usually building things from TV shows and movies is not easy because a lot of the time there's a lot of crazy detail in the backgrounds, or the inside of the house doesn't quite match the outside, and the scale gets thrown off or whatever. And correct me if I'm wrong. If you know this, please let me know. But I believe the show must have been filmed in the same houses that they use for the exterior, because everything inside matches the outside almost perfectly. Now, my version doesn't necessarily match perfectly, but from what I can tell, things like the front hallway and the kitchen and dining room and things like that, they tend to just line up pretty well with the windows. So I was really, really happy with how close I was able to get it to looking like the show. Obviously, it's not perfect. There's definitely things that I have to take a bit of creative liberty with, if that's the right way of putting that. Just kind of filling in the gaps of, I wonder what this bathroom's going to look like, or this extra bedroom, or there's kind of a space downstairs that doesn't really get explored at all in the show, so I just turned it into kind of a home office. So I just kind of ran with it. I just kind of made it up as I went along. I filled in as many of the gaps as I possibly could, and I used a lot of screenshots and scrolling through different episodes to actually figure out what goes where, what items I should use, and all that stuff, and I just think it turned out really cute. This house is very quintessentially British, like I was saying. It feels like a lot of houses that I've either been in, I've seen. A lot of houses in England look like houses in Ireland, and I grew up in Ireland, and these feel like houses that my friends lived in when I was young, and it's just very cute. I really, really enjoyed it. I just think it's really nice when things come together in The Sims, because it doesn't always happen, especially like I was saying, building things from TV shows and movies. It doesn't always work out well, but I think in this case it did. This house just ends up being really super colorful, which always lends itself nicely to The Sims, and the layout was pretty simple, and I just had a lot of fun with it. I really hope you guys enjoyed this one. It was a real labor of love. It took me quite a while to do, but it was just a lot of fun. I really, really enjoyed it. And one other thing, when the last season of this show came out, I actually built Nick and Charlie's individual bedrooms, and I kind of uploaded them as shorts on YouTube. I was kind of exploring the idea of making more shorts and TikToks and things like that of my content. And I'm open to exploring it again. I didn't really love doing it at the time because I made them in kind of a stop motion style video. And if you're familiar with Sims content, that is very common in the speed build realm of YouTube, creating videos as more of a stop motion style, but they take a long time to do. So I tested it out, just building 2 little bedrooms, and I ended up just doing the rooms from Heartstopper, and I was basically able to take those rooms and just recreate them in these houses, and I think it works quite well. I was shocked at how good I was able to make the rooms and how accurate to the show I could get them, but it just came together well. I know I keep saying that, but I'm just really, really happy with this build. And just to talk a little bit more about the style of the house, like I was saying, this is a very quintessentially British house, and inside, I think it ends up being a little bit more modern. It feels a little bit more renovated. Things like the kitchen and the dining room with the kind of glass doors leading into the living room. It's all just a bit more contemporary. I think the house itself is very quintessentially housing estate in the 80s, 70s, 80s in the UK. It just feels like a very normal British housing estate house. And inside is just a little bit more modern. It's not entirely like white everything, concrete, and, flat surfaces. It's contemporary rather than modern. If you don't know, modern as an aesthetic in terms of architecture and design and things kind of refers more so to early 20th century, if I'm not mistaken. So like the idea of modern doesn't necessarily mean modern by today's standard. That's why I say like modern and contemporary. It's kind of a hard one to distinguish because a lot of people just refer to anything built today as modern, but in terms of styles, that's not always the case. Please correct me if I'm wrong. This is just what I know myself, or what I think I know. I could be wrong, but as far as I know, I think that's pretty accurate, or a pretty decent description of what modern versus contemporary really means. So I think of this as more contemporary than modern, but all that being said, it just ends up being a bit more contemporary inside, and I really like it. I think especially this kitchen, you'll see it coming together. Again, I'm using everything from the Home Chef Hustle stuff pack, and I just really, really love that stuff pack. I've used it in like every single one of my builds. It was in my last one, the one before that, I think, and I just use it a lot. It's personally probably my favorite stuff pack. It's a very, very good one. If you're looking for a stuff pack, definitely recommend that one. And anyway, like with anything that you're building from a TV show or movie, I kind of had to compromise between picking the right color or the right shape or the right idea of an object. So these counters are not the perfect color. They're not really the perfect style, but they're probably as close as I was going to get to what I wanted to represent the kitchen from the show. So if you're ever watching my builds and you think, oh, that's not really the counter I would have picked or the couch I would have picked or whatever, I'm mainly just trying to give the idea of the show, because obviously with The Sims 4, there's no creative style. There's no way of changing the shapes of objects or the color of objects. So you're often trying to like find the middle point of, okay, do I want the right color or do I want the right shape, or should I try find something else that's neither, but it's the right vibe? So it's always this balancing act with The Sims 4, which is part of the reason why I both love The Sims 4 and hate it, because when you don't have so many options, it's much quicker to build, but also you end up building things that aren't exactly what you want it to be, if that makes any sense. So it's a real push and pull, I find, when I'm building, because I always want things to look as accurate as I can, especially when I'm building something based on a TV show or a movie, but it's just not always possible. But this house, I was shocked to find out like how accurate I was able to get it. Again, take it with a pinch of salt. Certain things just don't look perfect, but there was a lot of things that I was like, damn, that's pretty close. And I think the kitchen is one of them. I was really, really happy with how this came out. It's a pretty minimal kitchen, and it just has like nice little details. Like there's kind of bluish tiles on one wall, kind of more yellow paint on another wall, and just a lot of little clutter objects that mainly line kind of the back wall where the tile is and some along the kitchen. And I really love doing what I did with the ovens on the other side of the kitchen. I know we're looking at one oven now. There's 2 more ovens on the other side that I've basically put into counters and then raised them up to be kind of higher counter ovens. I don't really know what to call them. They're very common in houses, and I don't really know why we don't have them in The Sims yet. I know that there's a lot of custom content creators that have created different types of ovens and fridges and things like that, but I wish we had more in game, whether it's through a pack or through an update or something. I wish we had more types of ovens. You can kind of see it there on the left hand side, just by the sink. There's 2 ovens that are kind of raised off the ground, and I think that's pretty common. A lot of people have ovens that aren't just on the ground, and a lot of people have like different types of fridges, like they're either wider or more narrow or shorter or taller or whatever. And I feel like sometimes we're a bit limited with things like that in The Sims, so I try to do, to the best of my ability, create the right vibe. So I don't think those ovens are functional at all. I don't think they'll be actually accessible by Sims, but that's why I put a 3rd one at the other side of the kitchen beside the fridge, because in the show I never saw an angle of that side of the counter or the kitchen itself. So there could be another oven there, but that's what I mean in terms of just trying to fill in the gaps and try to make it look as good as possible while still being functional in the game, or mostly functional. I don't actually playtest any of my builds. I don't often play a lot of gameplay. I usually play with households when a new pack comes out, like when the new Lovestruck expansion pack came out. I did play with a household then, just trying to explore the different aspects of the new game. But I'm oftentimes just a builder, so I feel like me play testing houses wouldn't even be that accurate, so I just don't even bother, because I know if I said, oh yeah, this is definitely player friendly, there's probably something that I haven't tested because I myself don't even know that it's like inaccessible, or I didn't play it properly or whatever. So I'd rather just not do it and let you guys explore for yourself, which you can. If you want to download this house, you absolutely can. It's up on the gallery. My gallery ID will be in the description of this video, and you can do it whatever you want with this house. You can play with it as it is or renovate it, or however you want to play it. Feel free to do so. I'm not precious with my builds at all like that, but just be aware that I don't playtest them. So there's sometimes when I'm like placing an object and I'm like, I'm pretty sure a sim can get through there. I'm pretty sure they can. Sims are pretty good at navigating tight spaces, not like in The Sims 3, which I actually played recently. I got it from a friend and I was kind of playing it on their computer, and that game is not easy to play. I played it for many, many years, and even still I find it difficult to play. With The Sims 4, the Sims are pretty smart. They can navigate through like a space between, like there for instance, beside the dining room table, between that table and the chair. I think your sim can like pretty easily navigate around that and get through the doors on the other side. Even though I've kind of intersected some other objects, I'm pretty sure it's still more or less fully accessible to Sims. But if not, you can just rejig it as you need to if you want to play in this house. But that's just kind of my little disclaimer that I should put in like every video, but I never do. Anyway, as you can see, we've gone through the dining room, the kitchen. They're probably the 2 rooms that took the longest for me because I was able to get the most screenshots of it. So I was trying to make them as accurate as possible. There's quite a few scenes in the 2nd season that take place in the kitchen, around the dining room table and things like that. So I had a lot to work from. This living room, I didn't have a lot to work from. Also, another disclaimer that I should put in every single video, I might just start putting it in the description. I am very colorblind. So as I was building this room, I was looking at it and I was like, I don't know what color anything is. I'm not fully colorblind. I can see color. I just get confused with some colors. Like for instance, the walls in this room, I had to filter to find the color of those, and I can't even remember what color it was. To me, that looks white, but I can't remember if this is a pale blue or a pale green or if it's white. So that's just kind of an example of like where my brain gets kind of confused. I'm pretty sure they're white walls, but things like the couch, I'm not sure if the couch is meant to be green. I'm not sure if those cushions are accurate, but it's just what I went with, and I tried to tie it in with that painting on the wall with the kind of yellows and orange tones. And I kind of just fill in the gaps, a bit like not having the right screenshots for different rooms. If I'm not sure what the color of something is meant to be, I just kind of make it up and hope for the best. And I should put that disclaimer in everything that I do, but if you're watching something that I've built or one of my videos or whatever, and you're wondering, why on earth did he pick that color? Like that color for the walls, that like deep red kind of winey color. No idea if that's the right shade or the right color, but to me it looks right. You might be looking at this thinking, God, he's crazy, he has no idea what he's doing. If you think that, feel free to change this, make it whatever you want, fix it if need be, but that's just a bit of a disclaimer as to why you might look at something and think, why did he do that? Because I didn't mean to. I'm really trying my best, but it's kind of hard to make things accurate when you can't see them. So anyway, as you can see, the living room is coming together pretty quickly. I was pretty happy with this room, even though I couldn't find too many screenshots. And on the front side of the house, kind of under where that dresser is, there's a white dresser under a window. And I didn't really know what was meant to go there, because in the screenshot that I had, there's no window there. And it looks like there's another room maybe between the front of the house and the living room, but I had no idea what was meant to go there. If I put in another room, it would have made the living room tiny, so I just didn't put anything there. So it makes this side of the house a little bit less accurate than, say, the kitchen, but I did the best that I could with what I had to work from, and I still think it looks okay. I don't think there's meant to be a window on that side of the room, but it is what it is. I don't know what else to say. I did my best. So we're just kind of wrapping up on the living room now. And overall, I think it's pretty cute. It's kind of a weirdly spaced room, but it works. I think oftentimes as well, you have to remember that like when they're designing rooms for TV shows, they're accounting for things like cameras and extra people being in the room. So sometimes when the spacing of objects looks a bit funny in The Sims, it's kind of funny in the show, but we just don't really notice it because they kind of hide it. And anyway, we've moved on from the living room. Now I'm doing a bit of an office space. And this is something that I just kind of had the idea of. Maybe Nick's mom works from home and this is kind of where she works from. I have no idea what she does for work. I'm sure it says it somewhere in the comic books or maybe somewhere along the show, but I have no idea, I can't remember. But the mom, Nick's mom, is played by Olivia Colman. If you know Olivia Colman, she's an Oscar winner. She's kind of a British legend. She's been in British TV shows and movies for years, but in the last like 5 years, she's become like a worldwide household name. She's just a legend. And the fact that they have her in a show like Heartstopper is just so cool. She's such a legend as an actor, and I just love that she still does shows like Heartstopper and stuff. And unfortunately, I don't think she's coming back for the 3rd season, which breaks my heart. But regardless, I kind of had the idea of making that office appropriate for her character in the show. And so it's a little more feminine, but it's very cute. Also, this space, I wasn't expecting to have a reference for, but there is a reference for this, because if you've seen season 2, there's a moment between Charlie's sister and Nick's brother in the hallway sitting on the stairs, and there's a great shot of that room, and I was actually able to get it pretty accurate. Anyway, this part of the build is moving quickly. As you can see, we've gone through the office, the upstairs landing, and now we're on to Nick's bedroom, and we're flying through it. This room took me a while, because like I said, I've built this before, but it's kind of funny. Building something that I've already built in The Sims, it took me so long to find some of the objects because I was looking for such specific objects because I knew exactly what was meant to go everywhere. And there were certain objects I just could not find again. It was so weird. Like usually when I'm building a house, I'm just looking for, okay, I need a blue bed. So I look at all the blue beds. But this, I was like, okay, I need that exact picture above the bed. And I couldn't find it. It took me so long because there's so many things that are split between wall decorations, wall art, miscellaneous decorations that happen to go on walls. Like there's just so many things that are like divided up funny in the categories in the decoration section of the game. And I really hope that they update that, because I think with the more content that's coming out and the longer The Sims 4 is in existence, the less consistent they're getting with like where certain objects go. There's some things like under wall art, you'll find cracks and mold. That just shouldn't be in art. Like I feel like that should be in the wall decorations even, or have a whole separate thing of like a grunge tab. I don't know, because there's so many objects that like it's not artwork, it just goes on the wall. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. This is me just complaining about The Sims again, but as you can see, we're building Nick's bedroom. I absolutely love this bedroom. It comes together really well. It looks pretty accurate to the show, which I'm really, really happy with. And it's not quite perfect. There's definitely kind of over where I put a desk in a few moments. That kind of area of the room is a bit more vague. It's often where the camera is positioned in the show. And I know that the window at the front of the house, kind of behind that TV, kind of has a bit more of a window well, if that's what you'd call it. Like the wall just kind of juts out a bit further there, but I couldn't really do that without affecting the outside of the house. So this is just kind of the best I could do. And I think it turns out pretty cute. I think it looks the part. I think it gives the right vibe of what it should be. If you couldn't tell, I spent a long time trying to get this as close to the show as I possibly could. So the little things like that of, oh, the window isn't perfect or the desk is kind of in the wrong place, they really bother me, but I can guarantee that if I didn't say it, most of you mightn't even notice it. I'm not even sure if people watching this have even seen Heartstopper. I'm sure they have, but it's just one of those things of like, I'm getting down on myself for not getting it perfect, but then it'll never be perfect when you're building it in The Sims, so gotta do the best that you can, and this is just what I ended up with. And another little thing is kind of over on this side of the room, we'll get there in a second, where the wardrobe is and stuff. I kind of had to size down the kind of custom built wardrobe that I did, just to have it fit in better next to the bed and not leave like an awkward gap in the corner. So it all works out. It all looks pretty good in the end, but there's just a couple of things that I just kind of had to compromise on, and they annoy me because this is probably the room that we spend the most time in the show. But in the end, I think it has the right vibe. And really quickly now, we're going to swing through Nick's mom's room, which is just going to take very short amount of time. I went through this room really, really quick. Oftentimes when I'm building secondary characters' rooms in houses like this, they go by pretty quick. So while this is going on in the background, we'll do this room, and then I move on to Nick's older brother's room. And I'm just going to wrap up the video here because I know I don't have much time left, and I tend to ramble a bit at this point of the video. So if you like this video, please remember to like, subscribe, leave a comment with your thoughts. If you have any suggestions for future videos, all that good stuff, leave it in the comment section. I try to respond to as many comments as I can, and I'm lucky enough that as I post more videos and more content goes out, more of you guys subscribe, I get more and more comments. So unfortunately, some comments get lost in the shuffle, but I promise I'm doing my best to respond to all of you guys. And I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, there is another one coming very, very soon. Like I said, I have built Charlie's house from Heartstopper, and that's coming out in the next couple of days, all in celebration of season 3 of Heartstopper. And yeah, I'm gonna leave it there. I think that kind of brings this video to a very nice conclusion. If at any point I referred to the owner of this house as Charlie, please excuse me, I meant Nick. I just realized that I might have said that a couple of times, but this is Nick's house, Charlie's house is coming. So if I said anything else, excuse me. I just talk very fast and I lose track of what I'm talking about. So anyway, I'm gonna love you guys and leave you. If you like this video, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Been through all of this. Let me know where you're watching this from. I love to hear where you guys are watching from, because I love to know that my videos are reaching all around the world. It's super, super cool. And I hope you guys have an amazing day wherever you're watching this from, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.